Hey, it's Jim with Cloud Bedrock and developer of cribops. Today we're announcing a new version of cribops, which is a CLI tool that allows you to both install N8N practically instantly, as well as provision a Postgres database with PGVector for doing your RAG type workflows. And finally, a super cool feature is that it will automatically add a CloudFlare tunnel so that your local site is available publicly. Let's get started. So first, you'll head on over to our repo, which is Cloud Bedrock cribops-docs under GitHub. And in there, you'll see a link to download either the Mac or Windows version. You can also scroll down a little bit and you'll see that you have an option to run the command as a Docker command, so you don't even have to install anything if you don't want to. So there's an example for Mac and Linux as well as Windows. Once you install the CLI, if you use the native installer for Mac or Windows, the cribops CLI will be available for you in your path automatically. You're welcome. So from there, you can type cribops CLI version, and that'll show you the version that's running. And I'm going to do like the cooking shows and copy a command line. And if you look at that command line, you'll see a number of command line switches there that are all available in the help. We're going to set up. We're going to take the option to provision a CloudFlare tunnel. This will, of course, require that you have a CloudFlare account, but that's free. The first time you do this, it will open up a browser and ask you to, authenticate and authorize the tool to create a tunnel for you. And it'll ask you to select which domain. If you have many, just select one. And then from there, it'll return back to the prompt and you can continue. And going forward, you won't have to do that. So in my case, I'm going to create a tunnel name. This is just kind of your internal reference called YT demo. And then the tunnel host name is yt-demo.mydomainname.com. Hit enter. That's creating the tunnel, writing a couple config command lines, and now it's ready to go with Docker Compose up. If you look inside the directory, if you're interested, you'll see there is a Docker Compose file. And in there are a handful of services. There's Cloudflare, which is, of course, what's going to do the tunneling. There's a custom version of Postgres that we provided for you that is typically the latest version. Right now it's at 70.5 at the time of this recording. And it will pull the latest version of that image down, which also includes PGVector. That's the chief difference between traditional Postgres and this version. That repo is also public, so you can take a look at it and see how we built it. It's just a Docker file, and we build it every day to keep it up to date. So if you do a Docker Compose pull down the line, you can get the latest updates off of that. So then you have your, the ports that it's running on. The password is actually getting injected in by environment variables, and those environment variables are dynamically created at the time of running the CLI. So they're unique at each time of running, but they're available for you to reference later. So anyways, long story short, if we now do a Docker Compose up, and I'll do -D to put it in the background, it's going to pull all the images down. I deleted them in advance of this video so that you would actually be able to see the little blinky lights as it's doing that. So anyways, it will pull the image down and then start it. And on the first instance of starting with N8N, it's going to create the tables and whatnot. Once you have the installation completed and you log in and do your first time experience of N8N for that instance, the next step that you'll want to do is create an API key for that install. And then you can use that API key along with the CLI tool to create credentials for the databases that we're creating. Because we create, naturally, N8N is a database that's created, but we also create 3 others. CRM, which is just an empty database that you could use for your own purposes. Another one called Memory that you could use with N8N for your agentic memory, right? And then finally, we create one called RAG that you can use for your RAG workflows. And so that RAG database is enabled to use the PGVector extension that's automatically installed as part of this CLI tool. So without further ado, we will pause here and let this continue, and then I'll go on with the next steps. And then I'm going to go over to Settings, N8N an API key, create an API key. We'll call it Test. We'll have no expiration, hit Save. We'll copy that. Don't get excited because this whole instance is going to be deleted by the time you see this. And then when we're done, I say done, we can come back over to the screen. So one, I want you to take a look at something real quick, because you'll see at the moment, there's no workflows, there's no credentials. So what we're going to do is there are a couple of commands that are available for you after you've got the system started and you have the API key. So if you look at cribops-cli db list, that will list all the databases. N8N is, of course, the one that N8N uses, so it has all of its system tables in there for where workflows and credentials are stored. And then we've created 3 other tables for you: memory, for use for memory, CRM for CRM, RAG for RAG, right? So if we do db and then a -h, you'll see that one of the options is set up credentials. So if we say setup -credentials and then pass in the API key that I have in my paste buffer from N8N, hit enter. Now what that has done is it has called into N8N and created credentials. So now you have Postgres credentials for all the databases that you can use to your heart's content to build any kind of workflows that relate to RAG, or using Postgres memory, or creating your own local CRM. And then finally, we have an ability to actually open files. So you have the list and open, right? And so if we do open and then -h, you'll see that you can specify which one you want to open. So if I say open N8N, it will, if you have Table Plus installed, which I don't have a sponsorship with them, just like their tools, it will automatically open that particular database inside of Table Plus. But then you can also open the ones that won't be quite as interesting, like memory, because there's no tables in there right now. But essentially, it's just an easy button to get access to the databases that have been automatically provisioned inside of there without having to, provision the credentials yourself. And it's pulling those credentials from within the hidden, files inside of the tool. We also add that environment variable in the secrets folder in the get ignore, so that it helps prevent you from doing something silly like checking this into a GitHub repository and exposing your keys there. You can, with the command line tool, also select different ports. So if you wanted to install multiple N8N and Postgres instances on your machine, because you're crazy like me, then you're able to do that. And all that's available inside of the docs. The docs automatically show both, when you go to them, when you install, it'll bring you back here to give you all the command line particulars and what the outputs look like. If you have any questions, or if you like this kind of stuff, please feel free to take a look at our Skool community, where we will talk about this and more. And thanks for watching.